This is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast, where CEOs, senior leaders, and C-suite executives share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Jalyn Clifford. I'm the HR director at the Syracuse Housing Authority. We are a public housing authority here in Syracuse, New York, where we serve low-income families throughout the city of Syracuse.
My goodness, I can imagine you've been doing a lot of amazing things over this pandemic season.
Yes, it's been busy.
I would imagine so. Thank you for your service and contribution there. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about some of these things, because especially in your line of work, I would imagine change and leading people through that has been a big piece of what you're doing right now. I'm curious, what's the best thing about leading people through change from your perspective?
For me, it's probably just the resiliency of the human spirit. I think with all the uncertainty that the pandemic has brought to all of our lives, it's been so amazing to see our employees get up, take care of our residents through the unknown, and really putting their own safety aside, not knowing what was going to come day by day, and just making sure that our residents were okay.
That's great. And what a wonderful purpose and, to be a part of, right? That greater passion and greater purpose.
Yeah.
I'm curious, as you think about, other leaders going through change, what piece of advice would you give to them about implementing change?
I think it depends on the situation we're in. I think in normal times, implementing change can be best done when it's slow and through a lot of buy-in. But in these times, through the pandemic, change had to come really overnight. Things were changing hour to hour, minute by minute. So being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and also transparency. The best thing that we did is really tell our employees, hey, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen day by day. We were very honest, and showing them that, we're all in this together was huge.
That's amazing. I love that. It's one of the other things that we've been hearing a lot of is that leaders are having a really hard time keeping teams engaged, especially remotely, right? That whole opportunity to be able to do that drive-by management, or, to overhear somebody in the workspace or the water cooler talk, right? And to be able to jump on something that has been really challenging for them. And they're actually overcorrecting and being really, kind of over crazy with check-ins and micromanagement in some ways. I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that? What have been some of the things that you've seen and that you put in place to help with that?
Virtual check-ins are really helpful. Starting off with just asking someone how they are is huge. We are all human going through this right now, and emotions are all over the place. But for me, it wasn't necessarily, are you doing A, are you doing B? It was, how are you doing as a human being outside of work, all of that aside. Making sure their mental health and emotional well-being always flows to, better work done.
Mm-hmm. So I think, really seeking out to know the person versus just checking in on the task is what I'm hearing you say there.
Absolutely.
And I can imagine that it made them feel as though your intention was to check in on them as opposed to figure out if something was done or completed.
Right.
What a different feeling that must have made on their part.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you think about, what's important to do daily, right? That daily practice, what do you think is most important as a leader that you consistently do every day?
I have a gratitude journal, and in the pandemic, I had to find a silver lining. So I started a gratitude journal, and even if it's something so small as the sun was shining today, where I live, it's the city of concrete skies. So even something that small made such a difference on my outlook. It was so easy to get down in the dumps because of what we're going through. And if I was happy about even the slightest things, I found that, it was contagious for others.
So it's kind of that idea of taking control of your attitude, right?
Yes.
And just that simple step of kind of finding those things that are going well for you. What is the thing you're grateful for today? It's interesting. We use this with kids all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
Ask them these questions, and it's just some of these very simple practices that as adults, if we can keep them going, can have such a profound effect on, I think, our overall well-being.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I think it's living in the land of haves versus have-nots.
Yes.
And how does that
Hard to do
feel?
sometimes, but
Oh, incredibly hard to do, but I appreciate your practice there with that. So, I'm sure you've heard the saying before, we are the combination of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right?
mhm.
And so to average up by making sure you're investing that time wisely with 5 people who can influence you well. I'm curious, what other successful business leaders like yourself should be on this podcast, right? Who are the people that are influencing you in your world?
I have been looking to the strength of those that are leading agencies helping others. For instance, those that are leading domestic violence shelters, where because of COVID and counties not having the money that they've had in the past, they are finding that their budgets have been slashed and trying to reach the people that they serve in a different way. Without having as much funds as they used to. To see them still optimistic about their mission has been a huge source of strength that I've been drawing on.
And especially with something like domestic violence, which we know has been skyrocketing through this pandemic, we want those folks to be able to have the resources they need to get the results, right?
Yeah.
And so I think their attitude is step number 1, believing that they can find the resources and the money to go seek that out to be able to make a difference in what they're doing every day.
Mhm.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
great. So I'm curious, Jalyn, this has been amazing having you on the show. I just, absolutely love your insights, and I love the calm demeanor with which you presented. Clearly, you've thought about these things and executed them yourself before, as you speak them with such confidence. I'm curious, how can people find you if they're interested in learning more?
So you can find me right on LinkedIn at Jalyn Clifford.
That's awesome. That's where I found you. So I encourage people to go and seek you out and to ask any questions they might have, and to get to know you better. So, well, this is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast. For more ideas and insights, please do go check us out at www.concilioteam.com. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.
Thank you.